let's go to Victoria's Secret now. Victoria's Secret is getting rid of the Angels, and they're replacing it with Megan Rapinoe, the lesbian soccer player, and who Dan Carney went once as her for Halloween, and he looks like her. But you can't do that now anymore. That'd be good. Upset about that probably. Victoria's Secret has signed Soccer World Cup winner Megan Rapinoe and actress Priyanka Chopra Jonas. Oh, she's married to Nick Jonas or one of the Jonases. Joe Jonas, maybe. Victoria's Secret has signed. Yeah, we just did that. The belaggard lingerie giant is relaunching and moving away from its traditionally rail-thin models by introducing the VS Collective with diverse leading icons and changemakers, including Jonas and Rapinoe, to shape the future of the brand. But don't expect to see White Tiger star Chopra and Rapinoe, who've been a preeminent voice in the fight for women's equal pay in the soccer world, posing in the firm's famously flimsy, barely there briefs. We are told they're both being hired as spokeswomen and will instead appear on a podcast and in marketing materials for the recovering brand. So Victoria's Secret is not doing well as a brand, supposedly. And they've decided that what they should do is get rid of the Angels and the attractive women and bring in women that may be attractive but are different shapes. I don't care about this, really. I think with the availability of online porn, I don't know that straight men care that much about the Victoria's Secret Angels, right?
Right.
It seems kind of a quaint.
It's archaic, yeah.
It seems like a quaint and cute idea, but if guys can go online and with the click of a finger see barely legal college girls choke down cocks and then take shots to the face, and then, orgies and gangbangs and chicks getting waterboarded and strangled and people bleeding on each other and scat, BDSM, people getting tied up, choked out, punched, fingered in their eye, people just, does anyone really, I think the war on the standard of beauty is, not the direction I'd like to see the world go in. I think it's an unrealistic standard of beauty, but lots of things are unrealistic, right? None of us are going to have a house in the Hamptons or a Maybach, but do we now have to say that those things are not desirable? Of course, there's trade-offs to having those things. Maybe you have to work harder. Maybe you have to hollow yourself out. Maybe you'll never have real friends. Maybe you'll have to be skeptical of everyone around you, deeply paranoid. Maybe you have to arrange your emotions in the way that a serial killer would in order to move up the ladder in whatever organization that's paying you the type of money to have those things. I don't know. But to say that on their face, a beach house in the Hamptons or a Maybach is not a nice thing to have is ridiculous. And to say that a skinny body with big tits or a skinny body with a big dick is not nice to have, even though it's unrealistic for most people. The idea that as a standard, and not a standard that people have to attain, but as a standard to just look at and go, that's nice. When you walk around a locker room and you see a guy, when I was a swimmer for years, and you see a guy with a big soft penis, which is rare. I mean a big soft penis. I don't mean like, oh, it's visible. I mean like it hangs and it just flows in the wind. That, when you go, even a heterosexual guy goes, yeah, that might be fun to have. And who knows? I don't know. Maybe there's downsides to that. I'm sure there are. Whatever, Man spreading. I don't know. That being said, there's very few people that look at a penis like that and go, well, I don't want to give that a shot. And I don't mean you don't have to suck it, but I mean like having it. Most people look at a penis like, when a woman sees another woman who's thin and has big tits, perky tits, you go, I would like to take that for a spin for a week. Go, you know what? I'd like to look like that for a little bit. Let's see what it's like. It's the truth. And truth now is inconvenient, Al Gore, but it troubles people when you say things that are true. That doesn't mean, hey, good looking people a lot of times are bad or not as good as people that are like decent looking. Like Alt-A loans, meaning that it's not prime credit, but it's pretty good. They fuck better usually than people that are insanely good looking, because insanely good looking people a lot of times are just, they're not really givers or thinking about themselves, and they're not there, and there's nothing going on in their head and whatever. They're not passionate people. So some of these people, it's not even sexual when you look at some of these things. You go, I don't know even if it's sexual. Some of it is, but it's just a standard of beauty. I always looked at models and I was like, they're not always sexual, but there's a beauty to them. And that doesn't mean that fat people can't be beautiful, and people with the scars can't be beautiful, and people in wheelchairs can't be beautiful. And all of that is true. And people with a flesh-eating bacteria, necrotizing fasciitis, can't be beautiful. Or people that don't have arms or legs, or just kind of a torso, they can be beautiful. And people that are, dead and kind of having rigor mortis set in, where their body is starting to rot and it smells bad, they can be beautiful. It's not to say that somebody who half of their face is missing because they fell asleep and their house went on fire can't be beautiful. They can be beautiful. It doesn't mean that somebody whose eyes have been both gouged out can't be beautiful, because you can put glass ones in. It doesn't mean that somebody with a fungus that has eaten the majority of their vaginal area can't be beautiful and they had to have surgery. It doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that somebody who is like a centaur, which is half horse, half person, can't be beautiful. They have a big horse cock. You jerk it off, and it smells a little weird and it's furry, but they can be beautiful. It doesn't mean that a fawn can be beautiful, which is a half goat, half human. It doesn't mean that somebody who's 1,000 pounds can be beautiful and that has a little bit of a rash on the innards of their anus that has turned into this, pus-filled things that are very, very big and they explode every time they take a shit. It doesn't mean they can't be beautiful. It doesn't mean somebody with the type of psoriasis that it's almost like a dinosaur's skin. The scales and they flake off and they're so rough that they can actually cut your skin if you touch them. It doesn't mean they can't be beautiful. What it means is that there's a little bit of a standard that's widely recognized as a nice looking. That's all. We saw a gentleman today at brunch who was not white, which is nice. Was Hispanic and had shaggy hair. It was a very nice, you go, that's a good looking person. That's a good looking person. If that person was 600 or 700 pounds bigger than they are now, it might hurt the look. It may not. I don't know. But they weren't thin. That guy was not thin, right?
He was like lean.
He was lean. There was no six pack.
Right.
But there was a leanness to him. But I mean, what I'm saying is that beauty is in the eye of the beholder. That's my point. And I hope Victoria's Secret figures it out. What I think is going to happen, and there's nothing wrong with this, is just the Victoria's Secret fashion show is going to start, and they're just going to start in wheelchairs rolling out people with flesh-eating diseases. And that's okay. I'm for that. I don't care. I'm for that. This affects me not at all. It affects Hunter Biden